What's good, family? Hope you're all having a beautiful, beautiful day. If you're just joining in, go ahead, give this a like so that I know that my audio is clear. Give this video a like and let me know if you got the YouTube notification for this live stream. Hope you're all doing amazing. We're just going to take a couple moments, let some people come in. Let the family get settled in. Enjoy the visuals. Looks like we got about 150 people in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Wolfpack, Global, it's all love. If you'd like, go ahead and share the link to this live stream over on your socials. Spread the love. The first comment that I look at, Waters, you got it all wrong about Jesus, man. That again. I thought we had to slay that energy like almost 2 years ago. Now it's back. Now it's back because somebody asked me a question on an interview. Could you believe it? In a world where those say they seek truth, yet when they're told it, they get in their feelings. We're such an incredible species. I used to spend hours contemplating how we are the way we are. And then I moved on from that because I learned that's the exact trap that the apex predator wants you to be in. To externalize divinity. See, this is the trap of man. The externalization of divinity. Yet when you investigate this Jesus character, you can see that for thousands of years before him, there was the exact same carbon copy model down to the date of birth for the chosen one. The Alpha and Omega, Son of God, somehow could be male, female, always having some big significant correspondence to the 23rd of December, 25th of December, having another correspondence to Easter, having the death and resurrection story. 3 kings from the east, born of a virgin birth, 12 disciples or 12 dedicated followers. I mean, how much can that story be repackaged and resold to a bunch of beings that are thirsty to be told who the external divine is? It works every time. It's been working for thousands and thousands of years. So I'm going to start off this live stream with a quick round of applause to Julius Caesar. Good job, sir. Very good on the Jesus character. Like everyone to give homie a quick hand of applause. Very, very nicely executed. He must have been Bobby Fischer level chess player back in the day. For the numbing of human consciousness. What a legend. Anyways, if you're not ready for habaneros, well then it's probably going to be too spicy for you tonight. We're just taking a couple minutes to let some people come in. Got about 250 with us. But it's important that we start off this live stream with some human mosquito repellent. The earlier that we spray that in the air, the quicker that we get that energy away from us. This blood-sucking nuisance. That energy can find its way somewhere else. And the beautiful thing about the internet is if you want to continue to have the divine be outside of you, guess what? 99.99% of the internet caters to you. So congratulations. It's really that easy. But if you came here to unlock the divine within you and to actually become your own savior and to actually become self-reliant and be able to figure out shit on your own without waiting for some make-believe prediction of an apocalypse date about when the world will end. You actually want to live your life for the present moment. Get some value and utility out of the knowledge you have instead of sitting on it like an incubating dead egg. Make some use of your prana. Make some use of your gnosis. Well, then this live stream's for you. But if you're waiting around for the second coming and for some savior to come and fix your problems, this is probably a good time for you to click out of the live stream. It's going to be highly offensive to you the entire time, even if we speak from a frequency of love. Because the number one enslavement and condition of the human existence is to have the divinity be outside of them. And what more sophisticated place to hide the divine from our species than right there within you? It's almost a bigger flex, right? It's like the biggest flex of all time. Okay. So we probably got some people to move on after that moment. Very good. Very, very good. I'm over it, man. I've been over it since I started this YouTube channel. See, what very few people know, some wolves know, some of the OG wolves know, is this level of spice has been in maintenance mode for so long. If anything, it's gotten slightly spicier over time. But one of the big driving factors behind doing these live streams and doing this YouTube channel and creating this community and doing what I do has been because I knew I could deliver the truth in a way that was uncancelable, like a literally uncancelable truth. Because I'm not sitting here with the drama. I'm not sitting here with the sensationalism. It is what it is. All right, we got about 300 people in here. We'll have some more people showing up. I do believe that the YouTube notifications have worked out. So go ahead and give this a like if you are just joining in. Susie Gemini, how's it going? MG Indepan, I appreciate you. Appreciate you being a YouTube member. It's all love. Los Lopez, appreciate you, brother. A's Creation. It's all love. Satoshi Brakamoto. Always love that name. TJ from Iceland. Iceland in the house. It's one of my favorite places to visit. Seeker66, sending you lots of love, Kevin. I hope you're having a beautiful weekend so far. I appreciate you. It's great to have you hanging out with us. Patricia Steer, it's great to have you with us today. Christopher said just knocked out 50 push-ups. Amazing. I think one of the best things people can do is focus on their health. You know, like if you're somebody who's going through something in life right now, maybe if it's something with your business, something with your relationship, something just like with your own internal demons, you know, work on your health. You know, you could have millions and millions of dollars. You could have a Bugatti. You could have fucking all the women in the world or whatever you think success is. But if like you start getting out of breath after like a couple minutes of like a long walk, your attempt at a long walk, you can't play with your children, you know, because you're winded. You can't go on a hike. That kind of stuff, like if your health starts to deteriorate, then what's all the material success worth? You know what I'm saying? And only those people that have achieved, you know, physical. I'll say this in a very specific way because I do know people who get very obsessive about their health and are like gym rats, and they're in the gym 5 days a week and they're counting their calories and their meals and stuff. And I've seen some serious depression in those guys too. So, you know, it's all about balance. That's really, of course, what it's all about. But your health is super important. I think the issue is the people who achieve that state of health where they're in really physically incredible condition, they start to take it all for granted, you know? And I think that's what most of us do. Whenever we get some success in something in life, we start to take it for granted. We don't walk in grace anymore. So here's a reminder, you know, we got 300 people with us. We're only like 10 minutes into this live stream. Like, write down something in the chat that you're grateful for. Just one thing. I don't need a list. Just write down one thing you're grateful for. And you're going to see the dialogue in the chat. It's going to expand. We got to focus on gratitude, man. Because the killer of success, like what destroys success, is not being grateful. Abdullah Nasif, I appreciate you, my brother. It's great to have you hanging out with us. 3T Warrior Academy. I think I'll be getting on the 3T Warrior show in about a month from today. I'm really excited to do that. It'll be interesting to see where the market is then. Free Breaker says they're from Czech Republic. What city are you at in Czech Republic? I also got Martin from Estonia. That's great to see. Got Estonia in the house. Got Denmark in the house. Lithuania. Bulgaria. That's amazing. Malta. Wow. D Vortex, sounds like you only have a couple minutes with us. Maybe you're already gone, but if you're still here, much love. Mr. Jansen, much love, brother. Hope you're having an incredible weekend so far. Awakened Soul, Crypto, Lisa, Adrian. Also, remember, if you guys would like to write questions, the best way for me to see it, if it's a super chat, I see those very easily, but as well, just write it all in caps. So if you write your questions all in caps, or if you have a YouTube membership, those are the easiest ways for me to see questions. Other than that, if you just write your text like normal, I could be confused for something else that you guys are kind of chatting about together. Yeah, I mean, building off of what Rodriguez said about Christianity is Greek mythology. It's like it's further than that too. Like Christianity is Judaism, and Judaism is Greek mythology and Roman mythology, and Roman and Greek mythology just go back to Egyptian, right? So it's all just plagiarized. Maxim, I see your super chat. Thank you so much for supporting my work. It really means a lot to me, Maxim. I didn't see any questions, but I appreciate you. Anyone who sends any super chats with your questions, I will make sure to cover those. But Maxim, I didn't see anything else. So somebody else is saying that Jesus is not Apollo. You got to understand that these mythologies are not people, bro. Like these Jupiter isn't a person. Jesus isn't a person. It is a title, okay? Like, all right, how spicy are we going to get tonight? Because if people want to keep talking like they know, I told you the truth in the interview that I did with Zach Rector. And also, shout out to Zach. Appreciate him having me on. It sounds like him having me on his channel might have not been the best for his, like, I don't even know. Like, I've been getting so much feedback from that. And it's like once I got asked about Jesus, it went off the rails with people's like emotions, you know? Like once you expose somebody's savior, they can't, like, their vibration just starts getting like all fucking weird. All right. Oh, Maxim asked a question. I see your follow-up super chat, so I appreciate you. You asked about Thanksgiving and the esoteric meaning behind it. Sorry, this chat is moving pretty quickly, so I'm just gonna let this simmer down for a second. All right, but as for Thanksgiving, to be completely honest, it's all just make-believe. It's another one of those going back to paganism, going back to the Norse, going back to it's all just kind of the same. But Thanksgiving in and of itself is kind of a weirder one because, you know, it's only celebrated in America. It's like an American blood ritual sacrifice that they centered around consuming later on. But there's really not too much to say specifically about Thanksgiving. Like, I don't really think that there's any impactful information to share. But sorry, I'm just kind of getting recentered in this chat because it was blowing up. But what I was saying about the communication with Zach. First of all, I got love for Zach. I spoke with him before and after our interview together. He is a solid guy. I feel he is extremely open-minded, and I have nothing but nice things to say about him. During our interview, when he asked me that crucial question, you all heard how I responded. I said, like, are you sure you want me to answer this? Because it's like talking to people about food. Like once you start talking and this has nothing to do with Zach, by the way. This has to do with just sharing things on the internet with a bunch of emotional skeletons. You know, humans are skeletons with emotions who numb themselves every time they have feelings. I'll say this again. I want you to write it down. Humans are skeletons with emotions, and we numb ourselves every time we start having feelings. Okay? This is the state of humanity. And we love to believe so much in so many things. The more we believe outside, the more numb we are to feeling the belief we could have for ourselves. And this becomes like a living, sentient AI technology, the externalized belief you have. It's really quite a program. And that programming language, it's deeply embedded in you on a cellular level. It's like your entire central nervous system wants it to continue to be as such. So I already knew this about people, and that's why when I got that question about Jesus, I was like, oh man, I don't know. For the first interview that we're going to do, I just was, I wasn't apprehensive at all. I was just like, are you sure you want me to do this right now? Because it's going to crack open some pineal glands. And I shared my truth unapologetically with no filter. You could go back to the interview. You just hear me slay it for 10 minutes straight almost. So I wasn't holding back. But I knew that would cause some problems, because that's the world we're in right now. We're in a super soft world where everyone's just so soft. They spend so much time on hearing something new and having an opinion about what they heard instead of trying to learn or understand what they just heard. So when you're consuming something, here's a little gem. You could use this in your life. When you're consuming something, whether it's food, whether it's content on the internet, whether it's having a conversation with somebody or anything that deals with you being like the receiver, all right? When you're in that mode, prevent yourself from having an opinion. That's it. When you do that, replace that with resonation. And when you resonate, you're not going after it. You're just trying to feel it. You're trying to feel it out. You're trying to access intuition to know, what about this am I going to take away? And what about this am I going to leave? It's a very incredible skill to practice in your everyday life. When you go out to eat food, instead of having an opinion on your first bite, enjoy it for a moment. Be there with it for a moment. Resonate with it. So many people are they're wanting to just consume and immediately comment. Consume, immediately reply. Consume, immediately have some shit to say. You're never grateful if you're like that. So if you're hearing the interview and somebody's asking somebody a question and they respond back with their truth, and you're immediately just going into defense mode, because that's how you were conditioned, well, then that's something you're going to have to work on in this world. Because Mother Nature doesn't give a shit about your feelings. Mother Nature doesn't give a shit about whose Jesus is the real Jesus. When she wants to snow, she snows. When she wants to have a blizzard and fucking cut off your energy supply, she will. When the floods are here, the floods are here. And you're going to be sitting there praying, oh, I hope he comes and saves me. But you could have been the one preparing from the start, learning the skills, learning the practical applications and the utility of what is around you to apply it in response to whatever the problem is. You become a solution-based being. If you're getting butthurt because somebody's exposing the truth of your savior, you're in reaction mode. And when it comes time to respond, you're the one who's failing. Because you were spending all that time waiting on your knees when you could have been standing and developing something that could actually change your life, instead of for you waiting around for somebody to pick you up off your knees and change your life for you. That day will never fucking come. So live for now. Don't exist for the savior of tomorrow. And like I said, Jesus is a title. It is a title of anyone, of any gender, of any nationality, of any upbringing, of any timeline. It is an ascended master. It is all that it is, the ascended one, the daylight, the one that shines in the darkness. The one who reminds man that there was no before and no after, there is only here. That is the ascended master, that is a Christ. And every single one of you can achieve such a thing. And this is the bullshit that the Vatican and the Holy Roman Empire tried dismantling within man. They wanted to separate you from this knowledge that I'm sharing with you right now. And you know what this creates? This is what it creates, and we're living through it today. A species of reliant eaters. Just people who always need to be reliant on something else but themselves. Everything else but their own ability. So this is the world we have today. Remember, the tenets of Bolshevism is to keep people to believe that the truth is delivered to you by your state. Well, who's the one that implemented Christianity throughout the world? Was it religious people? Or was it, you know what I'm about to say, a military regime or a banking system? Fucking think for a second. You think they were peacefully building churches in places that didn't even practice Christianity? No. They had a war, they fucked shit up in the name of Jesus, killed, raped women, took all their fucking food, destroyed everything, rebuilt their own bullshit in their aesthetic, and then kept it moving. It's very Christ-like. And this is the same institution that perpetuates this idea to this very day. It's not necessarily just Christianity. It's all the Abrahamic religions, and it's all of the cults that they are subordinate to. Dragos says, Waters, how do we resist the machine? How do we save Earth? Well, here's the thing. Earth doesn't need to be saved. You think you humans can destroy the Earth? That's the damaged ego speaking. Humans can't do shit to this Earth. Good try. All we do in the process of thinking that we destroy the Earth is destroy ourselves. We are the weakness here. Gaia can take on whatever the fuck we think we're doing. You think technology is advanced today? Think again. There's technology that makes what we have today that we blame for hurting the Earth. Almost like it's irrelevant. Here's the thing. We don't need to save the earth. We need to save ourselves by reminding ourselves of what we are. We are gods with amnesia. We're like sleepwalking titans. We're literally divine with, earplugs and a sleeping mask on. We just don't want to realize what we are and what we're capable of. And when we finally learn that, we don't want to walk in that energy. We're scared to show that off. We're scared to be that. And I'm not talking about your identity, by the way. I'm talking about your purpose. It's a very different thing. See, today we're absorbed by identity. We think that that's the most important thing. And that's why during the C scam, they made you all hide your identities and replace your identities by a computer identity. And then eventually you're going to replace all your identities with some sort of avatar, some metaverse, kind of emoticon. And the way that we quote unquote beat the system is very, very simple, guys. It's very, very simple. You disengage from it. You stop giving it your energy. If everyone collectively tomorrow stopped giving a fuck about the government would have no power. So the first people that actually need to wake up in order for this system to become noticeably better would be the military and law enforcement. If military and law enforcement continue to stay at the state of consciousness that they operate at, they will be protecting the enslavement. They will be protecting the enforcement of socialism against its own people. And this is what creates the problems, is people listening to order. Trick It, I appreciate your super chat. You said, love your work. What do you think of the date 22/6/22? Let me look at it real quick. Also, I really appreciate your super chat. Sending you a lot of love. Ooh, okay. Well, a very interesting date. Let me just make sure I'm not losing anything on the chat right now. Okay, one thing I'm going to say about this date is it's 96 days after the Shemitah. And that's really important because the Shemitah ended with 96 days left in the year. And that number 69 and 96 have been really important this entire year. The Queen of England, wasn't she 96 when she died? Let me just make sure I am speaking facts here. One moment. Un momento. Correct. She was 96 when she died. So clearly a very significant number in this simulacrum today. Now let me look into the date. Okay, well, this is huge. We have the 70 as the date numerology, just like Shemitah equals 70. That's big. Because what was this queen's important date, right, that she experienced in her last year of age? It was her platinum jubilee. Her platinum jubilee was 70 years as queen. And we're getting that 70 right there in the date numerology, as well as the 16. And the only important 16 that I've been seeing a lot this year in particular is Russia and Chaldean, getting that 16 right there. And we know they're a big player on the world stage. We got the 40th prime number as well. Some of you decoders can have fun with that, but I think I pointed out the key ones that I'm seeing pretty much right away. Oh, and another thing is it will be 3 months and 3 days since the first day of practiced Rosh Hashanah that was ending the Shemitah. So that's pretty big as well. Let me fast forward to and see if I'm getting anything in the other direction for a 2023. Oh, were we talking about 2023 or... Yeah, you said 2022, so that date passed or... No, excuse me. Yeah, that date passed already. Was that what you were asking? The 22 year, right? I'm pretty sure that that's what that individual asked me about on the super chat. So I made sure that I did it right. Anyways, yeah, definitely an important date, but it passed already. Let's look forward to this year, this upcoming year. Oh, well, that's big. Remember, I just released that FTX ritual decoded, and in that FTX ritual, I was talking about 71 and 17, and how the lowest price, or I don't know what that shit coin is trading at today, but when I made that video, the lowest price came in 71.71% down, and FTX is giving you 17. I thought that's really interesting that you're asking me about a date, and then that date next year has that same number connection, and that's also a really important number just because 17 is the 7th prime number. But that wasn't the date you were asking me about. You were asking me about it in the 22 year, which already passed. So I wouldn't really be looking too much into this, but this would be the day after the summer solstice, correct? So that mattered, right? I mean, there's midsummer right here. So yeah, this date matters esoterically for sure, all around this time frame. But anyways, I appreciate your super chat, and anyone else who sends any super chats. It's all love. Susie Gemini says, I was in that chat. Boy, they lost their minds. Well, it's okay, Susie. You know, it happens. When I go on other shows, I don't anticipate it to always go smoothly for the following that they have. But I knew that I would be able to have a really good conversation with Zach. And Zach's an amazing guy, by the way. So what I was saying earlier, when we first started off the live stream, it was not in response to, like, Zach asked a critical question. He asked a lot of awesome questions, and he was super open-minded during the whole time. You guys should check that interview out, because a lot of the Wolfpack might not have seen that interview, and I shared it with the community, so... I know anyone who got that should have seen it. Hey, yo, Diggs. I appreciate you, brother. My music is going incredible, but it's a little bit on the sidelines at the moment because I have some final projects to finish up with my expansion mastermind leading into this week. But I really appreciate you asking. Got about 450 people hanging out. Love Stonks. Appreciate you showing up. Vibin' through Yo City says, when will you squash the beef with Zach Hubbard? Me and him have a beef? I've never spoken to him. What beef do we have? Here's the thing, family, like, this is not drama for me. Like, this isn't like a fucking reality television show. Like, I'm not here to jump into debates with other people who have belief systems. That's irrelevant to me. So if somebody has an issue with my work because of their belief system, then it kind of ends there, doesn't it? Like, what's the point of going any further? But as for me, I don't have any beef with Zach Hubbard. Die Tan, grateful for you. Sekhmet, I appreciate your super chat. Means a lot to me. You said, can you speak on the frequencies that are causing changes in the DNA resulting in body ache, back and hips? What is being downloaded from the sun? Well, that inflammation that you're experiencing, I would definitely start with what you consume first. To be completely honest, like, start with what you consume. Because if you're eating, shit food all the time and you're dehydrated, you're not optimally hydrated, or I like to call it effectively hydrated, then all other things are going to start to fall apart, Like, here's the thing with people talking about, and this isn't about you, Sekhmet. Again, I'm building off of your question. Is people want to try to find some sort of like perfect frequency, like some solfeggio playlist to go through, or to leave their city because of 5G, and like they're blaming all that stuff, but then they want to continue to eat shit food and not take care of their body. So like just exercise for somebody could be a life change. Like it could get you so recentered and take care of the rest. The same thing with just being more optimally hydrated. Cutting out stuff that is dehydrating your body, cutting out supplementation, that's huge. But what's dramatically changing what's dramatically changing the internals is the food you consume. It's damaging your gut microbiota, and it's creating an environment of dis-ease. I mean, one of the first things you could do when you wake up in the morning is just go get the sun right away. Wake up, sun. Even if it's snowing out, even if the weather's kind of shitty, if it is light out at all, the sun's frequency bandwidth is available for your eyes. Don't wear sunglasses. Just 5 minutes if it's super sunny, and then like maybe 20-minute walk if it's not. That's all. Like even if it's rainy, just 20 minutes, 30 minutes in the rain. Get yourself a rain jacket. Deal with it. And be exposed to the cold. It's the winter time. Get yourself more exposed to the cold. Get uncomfortable. If you can get uncomfortable when it comes time to doing easy shit, you're going to conquer it. But the question you asked, it sounds, Sekhmet, the question you asked almost sounds like it's missing context, and it's like you have a bunch of concepts that are within your mind, and you formulated the question without letting me know where your mind is at. So you asked it, and like for me, I'm just coming back to you with what I think the priorities are. And for me, it's very critical to just get hydrated, properly hydrated. Stop consuming shit that's dehydrating you. Ooh, sorry, let me get to this really quickly. James, I appreciate your super chat, brother. You said I had a close friend commit suicide last week, and it's left me with more questions than anything. Can you share your perspective on it, Jordan? Well, that's very heavy, James. First and foremost, sending you just pure love energy right now from not only me, but from the entire wolf pack. It's hard to have those experiences in life, and that's going to create a darkness, and in that darkness is an opportunity for you to shine. Sharing my perspective on it, like, here's the thing. This realm is sometimes difficult to deal with. Like, it requires you to access purpose, and we're void of purpose at this time, especially men. So, the suicide rate is substantially higher in males. And so is those who are institutionalized and also in prison. So it's like a knee-jerk reaction when you do not have purpose, or when you're not settled in your purpose. You need prana from the external. And this is what I teach about the ego and about just like how this world is working. Like I'm looking at it from a very interesting perspective, as many of you are already aware of. But when you are lacking prana, when you are becoming, like, think of it like you have a gas tank, and your gas tank has a bunch of holes punctured in it. And prana is the gas. And whenever the prana or the life force energy or the vitality, whatever word you want to insert, when that goes inside of your damaged gas tank, it starts to leak out of all the holes, okay? This is what happens to somebody who doesn't have purpose. So what you are doing is you're trying to fill up your tank with that infinite dopamine, the scrolling on TikTok, the porn, the you're just eating to eat, but not eating for actually enjoying the food. You're not eating for enjoyment. You're just stuffing your face to numb your feelings. And let's revisit what I said before, and I think it might have stoked, the individual who sent that super chat. It might have stoked that fire for them to ask the question. Perhaps that's just me assuming, but I think that was a heavy part of what I shared, where I said that humans are skeletons with emotions who numb all of their feelings. The second we start to have a feeling, it's like we want to escape it. We don't want to feel it. And that is the damaged ego. And this prana that comes in from the external, it's just seeping out every time you go to fill your tank. And you pay money for this gas, guys. When you go over to the gas station, you don't just get it for fucking free. You pay for it. And what are you paying for it with? Think about what I'm speaking on right now. You pay for it with your fucking soul. All right? This is deep. So when you think about what's going on here in the world, the elite or the apex predator, they're not taking anything from you. They're not stealing from you. They're allowing you to literally forfeit your soul to them through all of these mechanisms. And the moment you become self-reliant and self-empowered, the moment you tap into this ability to disregard the noise and to focus on your purpose, you've just disengaged. Instead of trying to beat the matrix or escape the matrix, how about you just fucking become the matrix? Listen from your heart, not your mind right now. Stop trying to beat things. Stop trying to conquer and command. Stop trying to win. Competition is for losers. So you need to learn the rules of the game. Then you could effectively break them. And no one will even notice. When you disengage and you access your purpose, nobody notices that you're breaking the rules because they're too busy numbing themselves. Okay, family? For your friend that had that experience, he was lacking the mechanism to realize, and I know that's very difficult to say at these times, but there is so much more than this physical realm. This is just a rental vehicle that we're in right now. It's momentary. I know it's bittersweet what I'm saying, but it is the truth. This body, this flesh costume, whatever you want to call it, it's a rental vehicle. Jamie Lynn McLaughlin, I really appreciate your super chat. You said, I loved your interview with Zach. I was intrigued and loved everything you covered. You definitely have a new follower here. Thank you for all you share. Well, that really means a lot to me, Jamie. It's beautiful to have you hanging out with us. Welcome to the Wolf Pack. And I just did that interview a couple days ago. So you coming into this live stream so quickly, that's pretty rare. Sometimes it takes people some time to catch an actual live because they only happen once per week. So it's great to have you here with us, and you get to learn what this channel is really about from its genesis for you. I'm just trying to make sure I get to all the questions that I see without losing them in the chat. But what I said before in regards to our brother who experienced that taking his own life, we can't do anything about that. We can't rewind time. But what we could do is share what I just explained with other beings in your life that you notice have a damaged ego, that have their prana just leaking out everywhere. Share that with them. Tell them what's going on. Make them aware so that way they can see it for once and then hopefully start to alter their behavior. The Tasman 63, I appreciate your super chat. Okay. The Tasman said, I'm here because of what you said on Zach's channel. Wow. Yo, I'm so happy that we were able to pull off this live stream so quickly after that interview, because even though there was a lot of negativity coming out of it, it seems like it's, again, like when you share the truth relentlessly without hiding, okay? You're not going to resonate with everyone. And it's not the point of this experience is not, I want to be very careful with what I'm saying because I think it'll be helpful for all of you right now. The purpose of this throat chakra is not to have people agree with everything. Don't speak for validation. Share where you are at in your process. Don't fucking worry about the aftermath. This isn't a math equation here. There's nothing to be right or wrong about. Just share your truth. Be ruthless in your delivery. But also, when somebody starts providing you feedback, okay? When somebody provides you feedback, don't just jump at them instantly with an opinion on their feedback. Allow them to feel what they feel. The way you operate in your own little skull is so much different than the way you are coming off to others. But let it be as it goes, okay? Like as the process unfolds. Speak the words the moment they enter you and channel them. It's just a channeling process. Share where you are at with your truth. Don't put a filter up. And don't speak your words for validity. And then when you start to get a response from somebody else and you're operating in that moment, actually actively listening to them as they're sharing their feedback, that's a moment for you to get out of your head, go into your heart, and resonate with them. They might be sharing a perspective with you about yourself that you didn't even know. But the thing is when people are operating in conversation, it's like the god of war against the god of war. You have your sword and shield out and you're like battling each other for the game winner. And it's like there's no game to be won here. There is no game. There is no such thing as the game of life, guys. That is make-believe. That is a programming language that man has been enslaved by through the idea of winning and losing, which doesn't exist once you become divine. Divinity doesn't have a winning and losing. It has play. Divinity doesn't have the game play. It just has play. People spend way too much time in this realm trying to win. Trying to beat somebody. Trying to be better. And it's until you could really fix that damaged ego. Until you could fix that prana tank. Okay? Until all those little holes are covered by your work, the work that you put in. Because guess what? There's so much at play here. Society is just jamming holes in your prana tank all the time. Society is taking your ego and beating the fuck out of it. The first day you go to school, when they tell you to walk in a single file line, when they tell you to raise your hand so that you could go to the bathroom, they are programming you to be a fucking slave. And mothers and fathers program their children to act accordingly. When the kid starts quote unquote misbehaving, you tell the child to act right. Stop acting like that. Act like this. So you're teaching your children to be actors. You're teaching them to be in Hollywood, and you don't even know it. You're teaching them to put on a mask when they leave their house. And I'm not talking about the fucking scam mask. I'm talking about that cloak over your higher self that's keeping you from being the real you. And this is multi-generational. This is a set of parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents. They were all following this bullshit parasite indoctrination nonsense. And it's multi-generational trauma. And now it gets to you, and we're in this day and age with these technological devices and these social media platforms, and it is just like your prana tank is really fucking railed up. At least your parents were more numb than you are. And I know they were more numb because your parents' were more numb. And your parents' were even more numb. And you know they were numb because just look at the lives they had. I mean, you think the New World Order's doing shit to you today that's bad? Oh my God. Just study the Bolshevik Revolution. Study the late 1880s, 1890s. Kind of see what was going on in that environment. Humans just listen to fucking anything their governments told them. Anything. Believe it or not, we are a lot more free and sovereign consciously today than we once were. And we have cycles, and these cycles are all part of it. Human consciousness and the expansion of consciousness is in alignment with when the realm has a reset. It's always been that way. As we start to enhance consciously, the vibrational frequency on the realm starts to enhance. It literally starts to get out of control. And then Mother Earth has her period, and it becomes purified, and then we restart. But maybe that's a conversation for another day. I'm just looking through some questions. Robert Jones, I appreciate you, brother. Sending lots of love. Oh snap, Waifu Hunter brought up a really important thing, which is the 6-9 and that connecting to Cancer. And I think we spoke about this a little bit from the sidereal astrology part of the conversation, that Cancer is the portal of the soul. But, you know, the Mason arc. I'm on Brave right now, and Brave isn't that great at pictures, so apologies if this doesn't show up. Yeah, they all have different ones too. It's amazing. Yo, doesn't that look like the Black Mirror logo? Oh snap, wait up. Oh, come on, what's that? Yeah, that thing. Oh man, it's close. It's close. Did we just find a gem? Of course it's within a Solomon star too. Wow, look at this logo, dude. Look at these fine gentlemen. He's holding his wrist. Just look at this. Like, look at this cult. This is the men. The fraternity of pre-diabetic, barely hanging in there. Imagine just the sweat, the accumulated sweat between all of these gentlemen. What do you think it is? Like a total of a gallon of sweat? You could just see it. Like under that guy's top hat, there's probably like a quarter cup of sweat. This guy looks super sweaty. Just out of shape, talentless law enforcers. There we go. All right, we're just having fun, by the way, too. We're just making fun. We're not throwing shade. We're just having a good time. But yeah, the Royal Arch, you could see right there with Cancer at what I would call the capstone of this arch. And then you have Yakin and Boaz, the sun and the moon, Polaris, the inner firmament. So this could be having a lot to do with the firmament dome, but the stars within and this particular representation is not normal. This is a little bit different than the setup that you might see on like a stained glass church or something of the sort. But what I mean by that is the G is typically within this compass, and then the compass is centered in the middle. The Capricorn is like at the top. So, this is just one representation of it, of course, as there are many. Then you have the black and white checkerboard, and this the black squares are the subconscious and the white squares are the conscious mind. And that's all they're using this board for, to keep the game going between the conscious and the subconscious. You have the serpent coming out of the barrel. There's a lot of symbology within this. But yeah, the 6-9 at the top tying back into Cancer. And what this is showing you, by the way, is a face. This is a face. The sun eye and the moon eye. You have the eye of Ra and the eye of Luna. Luna for left eye, or the moon eye, Munni. And then you have the right eye for the eye of Ra. So the eye of Ra and the eye of Horus. Absolutely amazing. There's one portal for each side of you. You are cut into two sides, and it's like 4 quadrants. It's really amazing. This is your nose, your nose, your nose, gnosis. It's all a spell. I talk about this in chapter 7 of my expansion mastermind as well. I give a very thorough breakdown about this whole image and how it's tied back into a art form that very few people have made the connection that I share. And it's called sun gazing. So for those of you that are interested in your health and detox and all of that jazz, I will be doing a sale on that course coming up in a couple days. Stay tuned for that if you're interested in that course. But that's just one little part of chapter 7 talking about sun gazing the way that I do. I made that course so that everything that I share, even if you've heard it before, I give a different spin on it, because I wasn't just going to rehash out the same thing that, I did it in a very creative way. Eddie Woodman, I appreciate your kind. Edie, sorry. I appreciate you. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Marissa, Pinkarissa, I appreciate you showing up. Yeah, I think some people might have got a little bit confused when I was talking about Zach before. I was talking about Zach Rector. We just had an interview together a couple days ago, so shout out to Zach. It was a great conversation. Also, I just did a interview with Rice TVX. So go check out Rice TVX. He's a great guy as well. Awesome conversation. So shout out to our brother Rice. Definitely make sure you tune into that. And I believe Donut Factory has a new interview coming out for us pretty soon, maybe like in a month or so. He's killing it on the the video editing. His video editing is absolutely amazing. Waifu Hunter says, I get so confused how people will even turn YouTubers they watch into a cult leader. But you do know the reason why they do it. The reason is people are waiting for their life to be changed for them. They don't want to put in the effort to change their own life. And I've told people this already. The sexiest business model of all time is the end of the world. If you can make a YouTube channel or a concept channel that is all about when the world will end, or that is the main message behind all the other, behind the micro, if that's the macro, is some prediction date about the end times, and then the content between then and now can just keep you kind of in preparation for that date without any actual, preparation of your well-being, then that could continue to go on for the rest of time. And that continues to be the way of the internet. And I think that's what YouTube particularly likes to have success in the algorithm. YouTube loves that type of energy being spread. Jules says, Waters Above. What a stupid name. I love that. Yo, I love trolls. I love trolls are like, I said this before, they're like fine wine. Their suffering has been aging in barrels, in oak. Just 10 years, 15 year, they're just suffering. And it's fermenting away day by day. Every time they consume something, the fermentation process richens and the body of the wine gets more luscious. And I get to drink that wine every day. Do you know how special that is? See, I've learned the art of transmutation. So you can come at me with all your hate. And it's really just this beautiful glass of wine that I get to drink. So nice try. But I love you more than you love yourself. And because you're suffering, you just can't take it. It's your only move that you have left. When you're in checkmate, you have to have a strategy. But you're playing games, and I'm just playing. So thanks for the free wine. Edie Woodman, I saw your super chat. I appreciate you. You said Waters Above is a good dude. That means the world to me. I appreciate you. It's great to have you here with us. I hope you're having a beautiful weekend so far, by the way. And I really appreciate your support. I'm just looking through some questions at this time. Laura C says, I needed to hear this purpose conversation. It helped me a lot to release old resentments. Thank you to whoever brought this up. That's important, you know? The idea of purpose that we talk about on this channel is very unique, and it's in a way honoring whatever weaknesses you have. Like what I said before about the ego and the damaged ego, and like this concept that gets you back into the intuitive state, into the flow state. It gets you back to serving your purpose as opposed to being used as a resource to fulfill someone else's dream. What allows you to get there is to be the alchemist. It's to be aware of your divinity. There's nothing here that you need to, have resentment towards. You cannot do anything about yesterday. That's gone. Yesterday is gone. You can't do anything about it. But what you could change is the way you start operating now. The way you consume at this moment. How will you continue to consume moving forward? And that's the thing that I've really been trying to articulate with people. It's not that being a consumer is bad. All right? We need both. Someone creates, someone consumes, but even the creator is consuming. All right? Now, what the creator needs to tap into is how to consume with gratitude and to not be critical in their consumption. Because when you start creating shit, you have access to what's under the hood, if you know what I mean. Like, what's under the hood. You know what goes into this process. So you can be critical and judgmental in a whole new way that most consumers have no ability to even understand. People that only consume, you don't know what's under the hood. So what are you even judging? What have you done? If you've never created and you've never brought anything new to this realm or any ideas or any then what is it that you're really saying? See, results are the universal language, not words. So it's a give and take. It's a give and take. Also, I'm not talking about the gender polarity right now. I mean, by default, women have access to a form of creation that men will never be able to access. So if we're going to talk about gender polarity, then of course, that's a totally, I don't want anyone who's aware of that idea and starts pairing it to what I was saying before. Because by default, a woman has the process of the baby, the whole pregnancy process. They have a period. They have like all of this motherly instinct that goes into their purpose. And I believe that is very important. And I believe one of the bigger issues in this realm is taking the woman's attention away from what I just said. It's getting her distracted away from her purpose of that natural divine feminine, that motherly instinct. So that would be a beautiful thing if women could tap back into that. And if you're somebody who's already tapped into that, then amazing. If you're feeling a lack of purpose and not really centered at this time, then consider what I was just sharing moments ago. Practice your consumption to be more in grace, more accepting. Spend less time sharing opinions and more time resonating. But there's nothing to believe in here in this realm. There is literally nothing you need to believe in except yourself. Once you get into touch with the idea of what trust is, and you could start trusting in a way that's allowing this to all unfold, as it would naturally do, regardless of how much you want to control it. See, that's the issue that leads to a lot of depression, is we've been indoctrinated to being these like controller overlords, and we've barely tapped into the idea of purpose in the process. And we want this all to work out the way we want it to work out. And when it starts to go the opposite way, those expectations get drowned. They get waterboarded. And then we're like, fuck, what do I do now? Because you weren't taught the ways of the Jedi. You weren't taught how to be present in your consumption. You just wanted to be the one that's moving around all the pieces on the chessboard, but you never wanted to become divine in your process. So it's like you want to be God, but you want to be God without forgiveness. How is that possible? So it is through your ability to consume in a way that resonates with all and create in a way that is genuinely delivered from you without worry about the aftermath or the outcome. If those two things come more into balance and alignment, well, you'll start to see this side of you that's been hidden. And it's been there. It's always there. It was always there. There's nothing new about this, okay? It's something that's hidden within you, and we just have to remember. It's all memory. It's all amnesia. And unconditional love. Unconditional love is the key that unlocks that. When your love has conditions, it's going to make it very difficult. It's going to make it very, very difficult for you to wipe away that amnesia. And that's the ultimate superpower you could have. Seriously. If there is any superpower, it is the ability to tap into the infinite. D Vortex, you asked a question regarding somebody who's in the expansion mastermind and they eat mostly fruit but keep losing weight. They're 6'3" and 175 pounds. Okay, that's super lean for their height. And okay, well, the reason you lose weight is because you're in a caloric deficit. It's very simple. It's just thermodynamics. So you need to be consuming more calories. And I always advise people stay active. So you never really want to cut back on your activity. Although if you're somebody who's 6'3" and you're already that lean and you're like you're a marathon runner or you're doing a lot of caloric expenditure with your work that you have, maybe you're like an overnight stalker or you just have a lot of movement. You know, if you have a step counter on your phone and you're somebody who has one of those jobs where you're doing 20,000 steps a day, like that type of shit, and you don't get good breaks, like you don't get a solid break to be able to consume a larger meal, well, of course, you're always going to be in a chronic caloric deficit. So you need to go into a caloric surplus. And if you would like to make that change, you could be very methodical with it if you'd like, where you can just start taking track of the next week of how you eat with like some sort of calorie, like My Macros or something. I know it might sound arduous, but if you're actually trying to see why you're not able to gain weight, that's a very easy way to. And then if you're only eating fruit, I mean, I don't know how much fruit, you said mostly fruit. Well, it's very that's not calorically dense at all. You know, I don't know what fruits you're eating, but I don't recommend people eat only fruit, you know, unless you're doing it strategically for a moment in time. You do it to stay hydrated and to get optimally hydrated, but I'm not here to push like a 100% frugivore, like fruitarian. No way. Like, sure, you can do it if you've worked yourself up to that place. But for me, like, there's no huge benefit behind doing that besides just whatever you have going on in your life and it resonates with you and where you're at in that stage of your life at that time. Because that's really ultimately what I want people to access anyways. Do what is best for you and listen to your body. If you want to learn how to get effectively hydrated, I could share with you the cheat codes, as I've been doing every week for the past 2 years. And I have a full course that gives you all of the information on that. So outside of that, you know, it's all about calories in your situation. You're probably somebody that you're a hard gainer. I would probably recommend you start lifting weights if you haven't already, and trade out some of the calories from fruit for other more calorically dense things. But I really don't want to talk too much on the specifics of food. I feel like in the future, I might just do like another live stream, like a private live stream that's attached onto like my website or something, where like 2 times a month I'll go into, like all of these ideas. Well, we already have the expansion mastermind, the expansion group coaching. The expansion group coaching is a Patreon membership that people could join at any time. And there's like 3 or 4 spots left to that. So if somebody wanted to have access to those 2 monthly Zoom calls, we do talk about nutrition in that. It comes up quite often. And I facilitate those Zoom meetings. I actually run the meeting, and the meeting is about an hour and a half, depending. And I talk about everything. Really everything in great detail, and respond to very detailed questions. But I'm a little bit hesitant to take on private clients regarding diet and like health, wellness, lifestyle stuff, because I already did take private clients for that, and that could be pretty time consuming for me. But I do take calls. So if anyone wants to book like a private consultation, my website, WatersAbove.com, there's a way to book a call through there, and I could help people out with like an individualized plan for that. But it's really in most people's scenario, if you're not able to lose weight, it's because you're eating in a caloric surplus quite often. You're not moving your body enough, and the same thing in reverse. It's really that simple. But I do understand that some people have a very particular body type. They have a very particular goal in mind. They have an idea of what foods are the best for them. Maybe they're struggling with being effectively hydrated, even if they're active and they have, a aesthetically pleasing looking body. That's all kind of stuff where it might be advantageous for somebody to work a little closer with somebody and have those specific questions answered. All right, I'm just moving on to some of these other questions that are coming up. Bhupesh Makwana, I appreciate you being with us. Really apologize if I didn't say your name properly. You're asking, where did you get the word prana from? Prana is, I think but it means breath. That's what prana means. But a deeper definition for it is life force energy, vitality. It is the essence of you. So when a flower is dead, when a flower is no longer has any life to it, its prana has left it. And we know when the prana is in it, and we know when the prana is not in it. And identity is the only thing cloaking this. For instance, if you have a cat, you know your cat. You know when your cat is alive. You see it walking around and having fun and living life. And you call that cat Charles or whatever. And Charles eventually has the moment where he passes on, and you could look and see that there is no more prana within him. His prana has moved on from the physical back into the ether. So the mechanism of control here that the apex predator installs into man is having us give away our prana while we're still here in this body. They want us to be like zombies, like walking dead beings. And when you think of what an NPC is, an NPC to me now, like the way that I visualize it, it's just a living being, an existing being, who has an extremely damaged ego, and their prana is just leaking out of them every second of every minute, so much so to the point where they've become numb to almost everything that we've talked about today. Like, they've become so unconsciously aware of like, if you were to speak these words that we've spoke for the last hour or whatever to one of these beings, it would just go right through them like a sieve, like a colander. You know, when you're like straining the pasta, it just falls right through them. Nothing sticks because they're not designed to have anything stick. They're just here to be like a worker bee, like a drone. And I am not diminishing. This is not me speaking negatively on these beings. This is just what their purpose is. Everything has a purpose. The cup has a purpose to hold the water. You drink the water, enjoy it. That's your purpose at that moment, to drink water. But the problem is people aren't even enjoying the water as it's going through them. They're thinking about putting the glass of water down before they even finish sipping. So the beautiful thing about observing the animal kingdom, observing nature and observing children is that they are more in the now. They're more present. And in their presence, they don't feel like they're being judged. They don't have that sense to them. Like, can I do this or should I do it? They just do it. You know, a deer wants to take a shit. It just goes and takes a shit. It doesn't like ask permission. So we condition children when they need to use the bathroom. It's like, hey, can I go now? Is this the time to go to the now thing? Can I go? And then we just fucking condition children to everything is permission. Everything is, can I? And this is the problem with like house pets, you know, domesticated animals. And I've spoke on this a lot, but I don't want to talk about that right now. Even I have learned how to stay on track. Sebastian asks, does the Mastermind Course touch on parenting and breaking the generational patterns? So the crypto mastermind is solely about the cryptocurrency finances, reading charts, building your portfolio, developing your own investment thesis, exit strategy, etc., learning how to do technical analysis. When it comes to my expansion mastermind course, that does not touch on parenting because I'm not a parent and it's not my place to talk on that. But I can speak to parents and get them to realize a lot about what they do with their time, the way that they invest their attention. Because at the end of the day, we're all human, regardless of our role. But I'm not a parent. And the thing is we don't really need to learn how to be better parents. We need to learn how to be better individuals. Like, we need to learn how to be more present individuals. We are built, like mothers are built with a code to be a perfect mother already. She has to unlearn all the bullshit that she's been taught in life. Like, women and men, like, we already have access to our role. We've just been distracted and we've accepted externalized belief systems. We just need to get back to within. You feel me? Like, we don't have anything new to learn. We have to unlearn the program and then access that truth. But no matter what, like if there was a parenting course or there was a course on like how to be, you know, a better mother, or a course on like how to be a better mentor or coach, you always have to just ask yourself, do I resonate with whomever I'm learning from? And, you know, I always try to deliver a message that could be applicable and utilized by all. So I have plenty of people that are parents. I have people that are grandparents that have invested in my expansion mastermind course and other products and just bought calls from me and stuff in the past. And it's made them realize a lot of their behavior that they have with their communities, with their families, with their grandchildren, with everything. Because this is very basic stuff we're talking about. We're talking about the fundamentals here. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes we want to apply the additive principle in life. And this is very important. So pay attention to what I'm talking about right now. A lot of people want to apply the additive principle in life when in actuality, they should be applying the reductive principle. They should be trying to make things more simple. But the mind of man always just wants to complicate shit. Just reading through some of your guys' comments and questions. I'm glad you guys were enjoying the interview that I did with Rice TVX. It was definitely a good time. Chris Copeland said, saw you on Zach's. That's why I'm here. Well, it's great to have you here with us. I appreciate you chilling with the Wolf Pack this weekend. Oh shit. Okay, we could build off of this one. New art. World ends in 2046. Follow me for more. You heard it here first, guys. New art says the world ends in 2046. I think you should all leave this live stream right now and go learn about how the world's going to end in 2046. Save your soul from this live stream and go over and learn about the day that never comes. I can't wait till it's 2040 and I'm like sipping a coconut and just like chilling, eating some black grapes. Just living my greatest life. I cannot wait till it's 2050 and I'm sitting there drinking a coconut, eating some black grapes, playing guitar, and just living my best life. I can't wait till it's 2055. Oh my goodness, bro. Jesus. A clock on the nose, as Louis C.K. says. Queen of the North, I appreciate you hanging out with us, sending you love. Kalai, my love, I appreciate you. Oh shit, there's some super funny comments up in here. Sakmet says, come on, Waters. Why engage? Sakmet, you have to learn something, my brother. I'm speaking to the ears of leadership, and leaders have to deal with hate and trolls all the time. And what I just shared before about consuming hate and transmuting hate is an incredible skill to have. A skill that very few people have. Do you know how many people in my position get completely devoured by their success and by their fame and by their ability to actually attract attention? Look at what happened to that Chico crypto guy. Remember him? He has a huge channel, by the way. But I remember him coming out with a video just like crying, talking about how he hates his life and this, that, and the third. And I felt for him. I felt for him. I could see that light within him becoming dimmer. And it was dimming because he didn't have the ability to deal with hate. He didn't have the ability to deal with negativity. If he knew about my work and he was talking with me, I can guarantee you he would have had some tricks of the trade. But all of this waiting around to be validated and agreed with by all people, this is going to damage somebody immensely. If they don't know how to deal with hate, you're not going to be able to deal with creating. I wasn't feeding any of that before. I was exposing and sharing. I wasn't feeding that hate. I was literally teaching the ways of the Jedi. If you want to become a creator in this realm, you need to know how to deal with the opposing force. You need to know how to be a light when there's darkness cast upon you. I'm just leading by example. But have I watched so many people at the high levels just become destroyed by their internet success. And it's because it's working when it's working, and when it's not, it's not. And this is what happens quite often to the prediction people, the people that like their entire, purpose of content creation is about predictions, which I moved on from, candidly moved on from in the very early part of 2022, even though I tried escaping that negative energy 6 months into having my channel. There was no way for me to escape it, because every time that I had something happen with my work, I had other people sharing my work. And that's how they would portray me. They'd be like, this Waters guy, he knows the code or the secret sauce or whatever. And I appreciate it. I'm grateful for people sharing my work. But they were portraying me as something that I was not, and something that I didn't want to be portrayed as. But I once heard the great Mike Tyson say this, Source kind of bestows this ability upon you, and you can't control it. It just is. Once you tap into your purpose, you're going to grow the following that like your potential is infinite, and the ceiling of potential gets removed. When you start to really, really operate at this frequency, at this state of consciousness where you're like, vibrating out of your skin, and you're not worried about getting canceled, or you're not worried about getting deplatformed, or worried about anything. Once you get to that place, like, it's a whole different reality, And I know what Mike Tyson was trying to say about that to like another person who was just coming up in their fame, who was saying that like, I didn't want to get this famous. And Mike Tyson was like, you don't get to choose that. You don't get to choose how people look at you. You don't get to choose how people follow you. So even if you tell people what you're about, that doesn't necessarily mean that's how they're going to perceive you. That's not the way that they're going to hold you dear in their hearts. So you could remind them as often as you want, but you're limited in that. And that really stuck with me. That taught me so much. That taught me so much about this realm. And anyways, getting back to the deeper point here is that there's so many channels that are just revolving around this idea of predictions and prediction models. And, as fancy as it can get, I haven't really seen any, I won't even say it. Everyone's going to figure it out when they figure it out. And I think that's important. I think it's important that we all come across our truth at our own pace, and we do it in the frequency that we're aligned with at that time. And I'm not going to sit here and rain on anyone's parade. I know humans are just addicted to tomorrow. They're fucking addicted. They're addicted to some year, some event, tie it to the year, and then there you go, boom. It's like their whole fucking soul lives in that day at that time. And to me, that's wicked. That's like literally wicked. To have your whole life exist in a year that's 20 something years from today. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Is that really what life is going to be about? But that's what's sexy to people. People love that shit. And that's why it's been the most successful model since the dawn of time. And everyone is following the leadership that's reactionary, and very few people are attracted to leadership that operates in response. And when it comes to being here in this now moment and serving your purpose today, not worried about what happens tomorrow. Fuck that. The reason people are miserable is because all they care about is tomorrow, and they're trapped in the trauma of yesterday. That's the biggest problem with humans. So like, wouldn't you want to develop yourself to like exceed your own expectations and remove that limitation of the idea that there's a punctuation onto this reality? Think about it. Like, it's like a double-edged sword. It's hilarious. MG Indepan, I appreciate you. I see that you just became a member of the YouTube channel for 5 months. You asked me something about Oroville. I don't have an idea of what that is. So let me see if that comes up. Is this what you're talking about? You didn't add too much context, but is it some place in India? Oh, it's called the City of Dawn. It looks got some tech here. Whoa! What the fuck? What is this place? Oh man, totally. Some... oh shit. Thank you for bringing this up. Holy moly. What the actual fuck am I looking at? This is in the middle of nowhere. Thank you, MG. We were looking at something wild like this on the last. We were looking at Ashgabat. This is crazy. This is just technology. This is like Antiquitech in the modern age. Amazing. Look at this structure. Wow. This is like a power plant of energy. My goodness. When was this built? Oh shit, people like going out to this thing? I'm just going to quickly look through some of this. It was founded in 1968. It was... It's that guy's last name Enger? That's funny. Nice. UNESCO got their parasitic talons on it. God. I was going to tell you guys something. You know the astronomical clock? Sorry, I can't see the keyboard because of the way that my setup is. All right, guys. So I was thinking about this. Resets, mud floods, whatever your knowledge set is in this. It's not that important. But what I can say is this idea of the architecture of the past and what we have time to invest in with our travels, whatever that might be. Some of us can see that there's a very old world vibe going on in like Eastern Europe and, you know, Turkey and, I mean, especially Turkey, geez. And then you kind of go to like maybe the total opposite, which is like the deserts of Utah in northern Arizona, and you start to see this red sand, clay, you know, some of these structures almost literally look like melted cities. And, you know, you could be traveling in Iceland in the East Fjords and you can see pyramids. Okay, so with that being said, everything that we're taught is lies, you know, in school. We all know that. But I was learning about Prague, and I was learning about Charles Bridge and this astronomical clock and a lot of the things that are tied to this old town square in Prague. And I was learning that a lot of it is all, what would be the word? Not fake, but it's been like dismantled. The important parts of it have been kept in other museums. And then there are replicas. It's a replica. I think that would be the proper word. There's lots of replicas. Like this entire thing is replica. They even replaced this thing down here, this like zodiac wheel. They replaced this just a couple years ago in 2020. Okay? One moment. So, okay, so just all right, I got about 500 people in here. Go ahead and give this video a like. I appreciate every single one of you. Sending you lots of love. Right now we're looking at the astronomical clock in Prague, Czech Republic. And we're just talking about replicas, and we're talking about how like the important stuff is always taken away from these places and kind of put in museums or even in underground bunker storage. And nobody really knows what is the authentic and what is the replica. And I was just talking about this little wheel down here. The Zodiac calendar is a replica just 2 years ago. They've done it multiple times. Like this clock face and this down here, and then there's another thing on the ground, and a lot of these little statues that are all tied to it, they're all different years and been changed out over time, and some of them have been not refurbished, what would be the word? Like they just cleaned them and kind of repainted them, so they're pretty much still the originals, and some of them are completely replicated. And this bottom face is one of them. So anyways, I bring this up to have the open dialogue about what is the old and what could we possibly pass off as the new if we were to have some sort of great reset moment. Like, I'm not talking about economy reset. I'm talking about like the world realm reset. And we're just having fun right now with this idea. Because if this was left over, even partially, could we call this an original? If literally within just our lifetime, they've started to replace full-blown parts of this and lots of other structures, full-blown structures, just in this one little place in Prague Old Town. There is a obelisk in Prague Old Town that they took down in like 1930 something, maybe like 1940s. And they just started putting it back together like 2 years ago in 2020. And they said they're not going to be done with it until like 8 years from now, 2028. Or sorry, that would be 2030, right? If it's 8 years from today. So think about this. How is it taking them 8 years to just put some angels on an obelisk? You can go back and see there's some structures, some buildings, famous cathedrals that they're talking about an 8-year completion time. And it's so ornate and beyond like the majesty of these structures, just the detail of some of the shit that's going on here. Anyways, wanted to bring it up because I think it's an interesting thing. Look at this little skeleton. This is a very fascinating clock, though. Absolutely mind-blowing. And it used to run with Bohemian time as well, which it might have an actual name, like in some sort of Bohemian dialect. I don't know necessarily in Czech or some Slavic language, but the Bohemian clock, it runs on sunset, sunrise. So it's actually changing its midnight every single day as the precession of the equinox. So like as we get to the winter time, the days get shorter, obviously, and your midnight will change accordingly. It's not called midnight, but you know what I'm saying, right? And I think that's a fascinating system to have. Like if anything, that is the organic system. The system of when the sun goes to sleep is when the body goes to sleep, because humans are diurnal creatures. And you notice there's a lot of illness and dis-ease associated with operating and functioning outside of that bandwidth of time. Anywho, fascinating structure. Anyone who has the ability to do some traveling, go check this place out. Mind-blowing. Let's get back to some comments. Jackson Lewis says, carbs do not make you fit in any way. Well, that's really interesting because every civilization before refrigerators was eating predominantly carbohydrate. And the blue zones, predominantly carbohydrate. There's some cultures that were surviving on 80% sweet potato. Some cultures surviving on 85 to 90% barley. Some cultures consuming only white potato. Literally only white potato. some only fermented rye, yet no disease, no colorectal cancer, no diabetes. Yeah. See, the word carb is just a quick sign of where somebody's at with their concept of how nutrition works. Most people don't even know what sugar is. Yeah, if you want to get horrible, like the most shitty nutrition advice ever, listen to people talk about carbs, proteins, and fat. If somebody's going to start off their knowledge set and conversation around macronutrients, I advise you to quickly run away from that individual as fast as humanly possible. And anyone that tells you to take supplements. Oh, this is getting better. I'm going to end this, by the way, but this is just a good example of like being so wrong. It's like amazing. Jackson Lewis says, carbs do make you fat, bloated, as well as causing insulin resistance and diabetes. Okay, so what about the countless times where people have been calorically restricted and all they consumed were things like pizza or candy, and then they lost weight? That's pretty interesting, right? If you are in a caloric deficit, you can eat spoonfuls of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. As long as you're tracking it and consistent, you will lose weight. What makes you fatter is eating more calories than you burn. Now, inflammation, on the other hand, is a different concept. The health of your gut microbiome, that's a different concept. Your overall well-being, either that be mentally, spiritually, consciously, or physically, that's a different conversation. But these blanket statements like carbs make you fat is absolutely ridiculous. But we'll leave it at that. I think people are designed to almost be misguided by information about food because people want to be told what they already like to eat. Like, that's the thing. It's like a confirmation bias. That's what people like. I'm just reading through some of these comments. The Roy we trust, welcome. Tickled XO Pink says, love Jordan's thoughts on parenting. I'm a mom and too much crap is pushed on us. Well, I'm sure you've gone through the ringer with that, especially if you've Put your kids through school. You know, any parents that have successfully, or I guess we should say unsuccessfully, put their kids through the full schooling program. And now if your kid is, 19, 20, 21, or even if they've gone to college, higher education, university, and went through that programming, I mean, damn. I'm sure now you can see why everything goes the way it goes. And it's not just through your own experience, it's through the experience that you see from like a bird's eye view. You know what it's like going through it, and now you've watched someone else that you've created go through it, and it gives you this whole other like angle. You know what I'm saying? It really teaches you a lot. I always tell people, honor this, walk away from it in grace, and don't have any resentments towards it. Just now that you've learned, it's a trap. You know that the whole programming is part of this parasite, this trap. Well, then don't make the same mistake again, and I think that's it's a very honest system to have with yourself, instead of beating yourself up and having guilt and shame about the decisions you've made in your life and the decisions you made maybe as a parent. Because, hey, what is the perfect parent? Come on. What's the perfect husband? What's the perfect wife? What's the perfect marriage? What's the perfect CEO? What's the perfect business owner? When we focus so much on that, it's like we set ourselves up for failure, because we start to have this outcome-based motion. And that's not really what this is about, family. Like, this whole outcome-based goal-setting thing, it needs to kind of like shrivel away and rot, because it's taking people away from processes and systems. The reason perhaps that you're not a great parent, or your parents weren't great parents to you, is because everything was about outcomes. Everything was about you going to school on time and getting good grades on the test and getting a good report card at the end of the marking period, and then graduating and then leaving the house and then getting the job. It was always about the aftermath. It was about eventually you amounting to something. It never had to do with them enjoying you in the present moment. And those programs and patterns, they're like leeches. They start to suffering is like a leech, and it just wants to live off of you. It's like the blood it sucks is through the suffering that was imposed onto it. Like that classic saying, hurt people hurt people. And a lot of this is unconscious. A lot of people don't even know that they're doing this. So it's quite important for us to realize that when you're in a role of being with a partner, or when you're in a role of being a business owner, or when you're in a role of having a community that, maybe you're a farmer and you have a farmer's market, stall, and people develop these expectations to see you on Wednesday with the apples. And you can't make it happen for them this Wednesday. And you see some people getting pissed off at you. They're like, he didn't get the apples this week. You might have to let those people know that they have to give up on their savior. Because if they really loved you without those conditions, the feelings they would have is, oh, maybe something happened to him. Maybe something is going on with his family. Maybe he's not all right. You would shift into a mode of inner standing and love. But all of these little programs, all part of this, the way we're brought up, it comes back to that parenting as well. It's like you weren't a good enough kid because you didn't do good on your grades in school, or your IQ or your grade point average wasn't high enough. And they grade you. Your worth becomes the letter code that is the outcome of the test you took. And your parents will start to develop this relationship with you just based on that. How many times have we seen families who have two children and one kid does very good in school and the other doesn't do so good in school? And they always label the kid that does bad at school, whatever the fuck that means. They label them like the trouble child, or the problem child. And then the other one is like this shining star, like this example. what's funny is that problem child tends to have more creativity. They could access the flow state in a creative way. They typically go on to actually do something in this world that provides value and provides a system to the world. Whilst the bookworm, the one who's trapped in the scholastic hamster wheel, ends up becoming a fry cook at McDonald's. They end up being locked into the cubicle 9 to 5, listening to their boss through emails. See, good grades and the way that you did at school is just a sign of how obedient you are. That's really all it is. And hey guys, trust me, you could always have one foot in the matrix and one foot out. There's plenty of people that have been able to nail it during school and then go on to be something that had a lot of purpose and a sense of, value. But I'm just saying, I'm speaking on the narrative and what most of us deal with in this world. Because we know consciousness and being awake is not a genetic thing that's passed on to you. It's not like in your... How many people have I spoke to where both of their parents are completely asleep? Their brother and sister are completely asleep, but yet again, they are just like this shining light. See, that consciousness, what was bestowed upon you, is such a gift and something you should be grateful for. And I'm sure a lot of you had an issue with authority in your life. You couldn't really do too well with it. Whenever there was somebody trying to tell you what to do, that just made you uncomfortable. It was like a different frequency than the one you wanted to operate at, so it started to bother you. And what also probably bothered you is watching everyone comply. Watching the compliance from everyone was something else that made you go, what the hell are these zombies? You started to have, you were quite negative at the start, but ultimately, this was all part of your process. It was like you came here to this realm with antivirus software. Nothing could infiltrate you. And the only final boss that you had to deal with here was yourself. And that's still what we're working on today. So we're all in that process of realizing that this elite or apex predator or royalty or Illuminati or whatever, secret society, whoever the fuck you believe has power, it's on you to eventually realize that you are the one with the power and that these so-called elites are powerless, skillless, talentless. They have nothing of power at all besides the illusion of power that we elect to them with our belief, with our compliance. And there isn't supposed to be a timeline where there's a majority of us. That's not how this works. But we just come here to remind everyone who surrounds us what they're capable of, that they don't need to lead. They don't need to be following leaders, and they don't need to be living a life that is just drenched in fear. They don't need to be living a life that has this monotony, mundane, cyclical nature of a purposeless, meaningless existence, always attached to the trauma of yesterday and unable to actually enjoy this moment. But what we have comes at a cost. Enlightenment is not necessarily the simplest role to play, because there's going to be a lot of stuff going on with your limiting beliefs. There's going to be a lot of stuff that happens with your questioning of yourself comparatively to everything else. You're going to go, maybe it's just easier to be like them. Or maybe it's just more simple to go along with it. Or maybe, I should just give up or whatever. You start to have these doubts. It's like you don't think that abundance is possible for you because you don't see abundance happening around you. So I get it. I know. But you got to remind yourself that this isn't the easiest experience to have to wear that crown of wisdom, like it's going to require you to it's going to require you to get uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. Accomplishment requires discomfort. And one final thought before we move on. I spoke about this one time regarding weightlifting, and this will all make sense, but I was talking about how a bodybuilder, somebody who's trying to make themselves more aesthetically pleasing, when they are lifting weights, they're trying to make lightweight feel heavier. And a power lifter, somebody who maybe isn't as aesthetically pleasing, just bigger and trying to lift a lot more weight, their goal with that heavy weight is to be able to make the weight that they're lifting feel light. And I think that's something that people can actually apply to their lives. Even though this crown of wisdom is heavy and it requires, moments where it could get quite uncomfortable for you to blend in and be the chameleon in any situation so that you could have one foot in the matrix and one foot out. Think about this. Try to just make the weight lighter. I know it's a heavy weight, but just make it lighter. And when you practice this, you're going to start to see like, damn, it is that simple. It literally is. Because what's making the weight heavier in the first place is your limiting beliefs, the ceiling that you put on your own potential, your self-esteem, and this all comes back to the ego. And when the ego is damaged, of course you're going to have a lack of a sense of purpose. Of course you're going to have, a really low self-esteem because you're letting the external world get the best of you. You're not remembering what you are. You're not remembering what you're capable of because you're getting very, very distracted. So stop paying attention to shit and start investing your attention in what serves your purpose. Make the weight lighter. Like, I get it. You're walking over the weight and it's like life is like 500 kilos. Life is 1,000 pounds and you're like trying to lift that up and you just can't. But here's something that's amazing. Have you ever heard of those stories where like a mother will see their baby in danger? Like, something like, I heard this one story where like a baby was kind of trapped under a car and a woman alone lifted up the car and moved it over and then grabbed her baby. Now, this woman was not a professional weightlifter by any means. But what she tapped into at that moment was the most pure and raw form of purpose. Everything else became sidelined. Nothing else mattered. And some people are like, well, Jordan, how does that apply? That applies to everything. How many wasted moments of your life have you spent scrolling, looking at bullshit, distracted by the noise? On the other hand, when something becomes so important, when something becomes such a priority, when something becomes urgent, then you care? Think about like needing to use the bathroom. I know so many people. People hire me for calls all the time. They want to talk with me about how, Jordan, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. You know what I tell them? When you really, really need to use the bathroom, what do you do at that moment? What do you feel at that moment? Like, the only thing that matters is you got to take a piss, right? That's all that matters. If you saw your favorite like actor or entertainer or like whatever, somebody that you really look up to, and you've been waiting to meet them your whole fucking life, but at the same time you really, really needed to use the bathroom, you would skip over seeing them just so you could use the bathroom. It becomes a priority. It becomes urgent. Like you're like a slave to your body at that moment. It becomes your purpose. I know this sounds wild, but if you could apply that sense of urgency, that ability to tap into that with a prioritize, to truthfully prioritize on like a cellular level, you'll start to see how damn like valuable your time is. You'll start to see how valuable your thoughts are. You're all already trillionaires. You know what currency that you have a trillion of? Your thoughts. So use them instead of letting them use you. But it's that simple shit in life that we disregard, that we overlook. So I see a woman who picks up the car, their baby under it, all this adrenaline, and I'm like, that inspires me. That inspires me to say to myself that I could make whatever the problem is in my life a lighter weight. I too can have that sense of urgency for something that matters a lot to me, something that I am passionate about, something that has meaning, something that allows me to forecast my truth, something that allows me to share my skills, something that allows me to integrate with my community, something that allows me to develop community or conversations with other people, whatever it is. But I think that's a really, really important thing that we just sort of, swam through. Avolate FPV says refined sugar was first used as a drug intravenously. No, it was not. It was first used as an anti-venom. It was created by the Chinese as an anti-venom. It is a medicine, actually. Sonic, I hope you're doing well. I think it's Krista, right? You mentioned something about the Salt Lake City temple being taken down. Yeah, so I was just there like 3 months ago, and I visited mostly just because I wanted to see, really close up view of it. And yeah, it was completely covered in scaffolding and like netting and all these forklift cherry pickers all surrounding it. And I went up and asked the people, what's going on? And they were like, well, it's being taken down. There's parts of it being worked on because of allegedly they want to make it more what's the word? Like when there's the word is slipping my mind. When you have a earthquake. Yes, that's it. They wanted to make it more like earthquake proof. But hey, things happen and develop quickly. So perhaps when you went, they were already like back in their stages of putting it all back together. I don't know. Seeker66, I appreciate you, brother. I just saw your super chat. Sending you lots of love, brother. You said just appreciation. Black grapes are on me this week. I love that. That really means a lot to me. If I could find any, it's not the best time of year for them, but that really means so much to me, brother. I appreciate you. I'll definitely buy something high quality to consume for sure. Roberto, sending you love to Italy, my brother. Come stai? Costco membership. I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna leave it. Okay. So I would rank it: animal flesh, dairy, eggs, fish and animal flesh go together. Oil at the end, because oil, if it's cold pressed and it's fresh, which rarely people have access to, and you're using it cold, not heating it, keeping it closer to like nothing higher than body temperature. But like if you could get access to fresh oil that is unfiltered, unpasteurized, and kind of around body temperature, it's better, but still highly inflammatory. But yeah, that'd be my ranking. All of which supremely dehydrating, by the way. All of which causing dis-ease for our species. All of which processed heavily. And most people are getting such poor quality versions of them and combining them in ways that are just destroying the gut microbiota. Too complex for the body to properly digest, and then literally making you dehydrated in the process. It's like an atomic bomb on the organism. And no wonder why the world is in the state of health that it's in. Jackson Lewis said, I'm one. I love this one. I'm 100% certain there's a good reason why you have never shown your face. You're obviously not a good, healthy looking individual like I am from proper diet, cutting American carb loads. You know what, Jackson? If that's what will make you feel better, if me being ugly and unhealthy is what you want, then I am. How does that feel now? Do you get a little tingling sensation in your body? Do you feel the blood rushing to the tips of your fingers? Oh man, I love humans, bro. I love humans. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on from that, because very few people have the ability to actually have conversations about food. Jackie Jack asks about kind of mass education and talking to people on a bigger scale. And I the thing is it's all happening at the rate that it is designed to happen. I gotta say that I'm very comfortable with the growth that we have here. I think it's beautiful. We're going to be getting to, 50,000 subs here on this channel super soon. I mean, I only have like 700 people on my Instagram. The mastermind community over on Patreon is growing nice and healthy. I'm so grateful for all that support. I think that naturally people will want to spread my work more onto other platforms. And as that goes on and that becomes a little bit more, spread, then that will just take shape from there. But I'm moving at a speed that aligns with where I'm at in my life. I'm not limiting anything. I'm not putting a ceiling over the potential at all. I'm just going at a pace that I could keep up with and still operate the same way that I've always been since the start. I'm just looking through some questions. Okay, we'll squash this. We'll squash this nonsense that's going on over here. With this guy Jackson, clearly a very damaged individual, very damaged ego, and I'll explain why, because I think we've all kind of felt this somewhere in our hearts, and confronting this could be very helpful for not only him, if he's still listening, just for anyone. Okay. They say, just wanted to point out, as somebody who is fit and healthy, if I had a platform like Jordan does here, I certainly wouldn't hide my appearance. There's obviously a reason he does. Jackson, do you know how many people who sell financial advice to people get that attention because they show them their Lamborghini? They show them a Lambo, or they show them a watch they have. They show them their big mansion. They show them all the fancy materialistic stuff. And the same thing goes for the fitness community. There's people out there in the fitness community that are loaded up on TRT, steroids, all sorts of nonsense. And they have a six-pack, and they're able to sell their program just because they show off their bodies. Now, the same thing goes with women. I'll hit everyone right now with this super truth. Woman, super beautiful. She doesn't even need to say anything. She doesn't need to tell you the truth. Just by the way she looks, she will get attention and a following. Sex sells, right? Now, if you are one of the individuals, this is where it's super holistic and an important thing to discuss. If you are a guy who thinks that you looking good and having a six-pack or whatever is a sign of your health, and that gives you the ability now and the validity to share that what has worked for you is somehow this universal, application to all beings that'll solve everyone's problems. Well, guess what you're playing there? You're playing the guru role. You're playing the look at me, I did it. Look at my body. Buy my course. Look at my car. Look at my watch. Look at all the shit I have. You must trust me because I'm rich. Now think about what I was able to do. I was able to do what I've done without showing myself. I was able to do what I did without showing any of the things I own. I never had to show one trophy. But still, I'll get emails from people telling me that they were a drug addict, and since they've started listening to my live stream, they've been able to kick those drugs. I have people that have tuned in that were borderline morbidly obese, and since listening to some of the information that I've shared about consumption, have lost an immeasurable amount of weight, have reduced where they're at in regards to diabetes medication, pretty much have given them life back. I've had parents who were in a relationship that was about to end come to me and tell me thank you, because what I share on my live streams have brought them closer together and made them better mother and father to their children. All of this coming from a financial channel where the guy doesn't even need to show you how he looks. I never needed to prove anything. Just the truth. That's all I needed to share. And that's why my logo is what it is. It's the blue circle, the throat chakra. And I think this is important to talk about, because if you're somebody that finds yourself being attracted to truth because of the shell that it's in, you might want to ask yourself, it's like a guy being attracted to a woman just because she's sexy. What if she's consciously asleep, though? So I think it was important that I said what I just said and shared what I just shared, because all of you go through your stages of consumption. And you too might have been somebody that once was sold on the guy showing off his Lamborghini in Dubai with the O-face thumbnails, telling you this is how you invest. And look at how that worked out. See, the beings that need to show off all their shit to get acceptance and to be validated have damaged egos. Now, there's nothing wrong with playing to your strengths. If you're somebody who looks incredible and you really don't have anything to offer this realm, and that is the one thing that you have, go for it. Go for it, fam. I'll never take that away from you. If that's what you think is necessary to perpetuate your status in the realm, by all means. But too many fucking people get fleeced by just following along the spiritual guru or the health guru or and this continues to work because people know that sex sells. People know that idolizations, like creating an idol, creating these parasympathetic relationships with this other being. We talked about this quite often when we watch movies, Hollywood movies, and a character that we like in the movie dies, we get emotional about it. It's like we feel that pain. We get upset. This is all part of what I'm exposing, guys. We'll move on. Sekhmet, you keep talking about trolls, but you aren't getting it. You understand? Now you can understand. The trolls are not, it's not about them being invisible or irrelevant. I'm telling you that the trolls are like food. They're like water you drink. They are literally there the same way all of the species is here for the elite. The apex predator use all of you as part of their big battery energy harvesting experiment. They use your fear like a calorie source. I'm using the haters as a calorie source. That's all. The gentleman said, I met David Bowie in the bathroom of a major studio in 1999, and it was exactly this way. I wish I knew what you I wish I knew what you meant by that. It sounds like that was a setup for a really good joke. I love when I read things that are a little bit vague and I'm like, oh, that would be such a good like stand-up comedy opener. I'm a big fan of comedy, by the way. Ooh, I got a good question. Which fruits do you not like? Underripe fruit. Fruit that's underripe and fermented is the worst. Like a fruit that has very little sweetness, but it's starting to get unnaturally, just from the fermentation process, it's starting to develop some of those alcoholic type sugars. That is not good. That's not fun. So any fruit that's like that. But I would say another example is like most pineapple. Like I absolutely love high quality, fresh pineapple. I love it. But I've had so much really, really acidic pineapple, like bromelain session, that it's made me very unhappy. But most fruits I enjoy. Just underripe and also fermented fruit is horrifying. Concord grapes are amazing if you could get them. I know a lot of you got cut off of this live stream, right? Limitless NRG, I'm sending you lots of love, my brother. I hope you're doing well. Ooh, Mr. Jansen, I like that Rumi quote. Yeah. That's facts. I always try to keep my voice where I always remind myself to try to speak from my heart, like to not get in my mind too much while I'm talking. But sometimes if I need to get in my pocket to like go there with people, I will. But I keep my voice I don't raise my volume when I go there. That's really important because sometimes people start to raise they just start to get aggressive. They don't know how to work with people. They don't know how to work with people and they don't know how to work with energy. And that's why so many unnecessary arguments and fights happen. Anyways. Brianna says dropping them ghost peppers. Eric, I appreciate you. Bart Bruno, sending you lots of love, my brother. A Sybil, I appreciate you showing up. It's all love. Sam Khalil, I don't think you're talking to me, but you said you shouldn't shill Hex, bro. It's a scam. But I'm just going to say this. Hey, like all of the crypto market, we've been dealing with this for 13 years since like the inception of Bitcoin, people calling crypto a scam. You can say that about any token, and actually this next Red Pill podcast that I'm going to share tomorrow, I'm going to open it up with some, I just wrote down a note to talk about FTX and Bitcoin and the crypto market because I want to just I don't plan any more than that. I'll just write a couple of words down and that'll be my focus. And then I just channel it and go from there. But yeah, I wrote down FTX, Bitcoin, crypto market. Like that's where I'm going to start off my next Red Pill podcast because I want to kind of go deeper into some of the shit that's been surfacing in the past couple weeks where people are playing this game of this coin's good, that coin's good, this coin's a scam, that coin's a scam, this company is good, that it's just like it becomes this infinite cycle of like confusion. And people who are confused don't take action. People who are fearful and confused definitely don't take action. So I'm going to open up with a stream of consciousness about some of that stuff in the next Red Pill podcast. But you calling Hex a scam, it's kind of like under that same energy. And I'm not here to agree or disagree with you, by the way, Sam. I don't actually own any Hex. And I don't think you were talking to me. But I've had a couple of interviews with Crypto Coffee, and he covers Hex a lot. And he's been super, open-minded to my work. And I'm very grateful for him allowing me on his platform. I've had really incredible people from his community come over here and hang out with us. So that's beautiful to just see everything expanding and to see people getting more focused on the bigger picture of what's going on here, which is me exposing Gematria, Numerology, Astrology tied in with the technical analysis and how to operate in this market from the esoteric perspective rather than the exoteric. That's really what this was all about. So if people who are firmly dedicated to one cryptocurrency come to my channel, they might be a little confused because they're like not used to that, But I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. I'm not an ETH or XRP army cult member. Like, I'm none of that shit. Like, I'm just here to become the best version of myself, and that includes being the best investor I could possibly be. And throughout my development of the system that I've created and shared with the world, that's helped me expedite the process and see clear. So I hope that makes a little sense to people who might be brand new to my work. Perhaps if you're from Zach Rector's channel or Rice Crypto or Donut Factory or Decode Your Reality or any of these interviews that I've taken, you kind of get a little bit more of the gist here because people will come to my work and they'll hear me talk about like one particular coin out of a dozen of them, and they start making their judgments on my work. And I'm like, you guys got to remember, like, this is not about a specific coin. This is about revealing a system so that you can use this system on any coins you'd like. You go take the skill and apply it to what you're interested in. If that's Hex, then dope. If that's you wanting to decode Richard Hart, then go for it. If you want to decode CZ from Binance, go for it. I've shared the system. Nothing has changed. It's only been refined over time. And that's what the bulk of my work outside of these live streams and the expansion mastermind course, that's what it was really about. It's not to like push that this one thing is better than the other thing. All we have is a technical analyst, which I am, a professional technical analyst and a professional trader. Being in that position, it allows me to see clear in the other side of things, the exoteric side of things, but I'm not talking about the news and social media influence. I'm just talking about the realm of shutting off your mind from judgment and emotion and just looking at charts and seeing them for what they are. There's nothing hidden about that. That's the most obvious. That's right in front of your face. And it's funny, a lot of technical analysts, they're never able to really progress or to become a little bit more developed in that skill because they're still doing it with emotion. They're still doing it with thinking so much about fundamentals. And to be completely honest, fundamentals don't exist for traders. Because if you traded off of purely knowing the fundamentals, you would be fucked in this market. I mean, how many projects such as like XRP, for instance, that have incredible fundamentals, and yet they've yet to break through their 2018 all-time highs, right? This coin specifically tied to the banking system, tied to like the global economics ecosystem as a whole and the future. So... And then when people call Bitcoin a shit coin, and you're like, okay, well, this shit coin went from a fraction of a penny to $70,000. So can you name some more shit coins that have done that, please? And have done that sustainably with a new all-time high every 4 years? And have maintained an 80% correction and then bounced and then repeated that cycle over and over again more than twice? Show me that. And then we'll have a conversation about shit coins. It's just people get too in their emotions. So when I hear people talking like this thing's a scam and that thing's a this and this thing's a that, it's like very few people are able to actually utilize that energy. You can't do anything with that. It's like calling a religion a scam. It's like, great. Now, what wisdom did you take away from it though? We opened up this live stream talking about religion a little bit, but like, do you know how much wisdom that I've been able to extract from getting into the book of Genesis or the Gospel of Thomas or the book of Enoch? I didn't thoroughly read them, but I've given it some of my time and I've taken away some nuggets. And you don't need to thoroughly analyze everything, okay? You just need to walk away with some value with whatever you consume. And I've done such. And I didn't have to do it as a Christian or as a Jew or as a Muslim or as a Scientologist or a fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints member. You don't have to pick a side in your journey towards enlightenment. The same thing with the name of a guru, the same thing with an influencer, okay? And the world right now is kind of falling apart at the seams because it's getting too caught up in this externalization of belief bullshit. So it's like now there's like the cult of Andrew Tate and the cult of Piers Morgan and the cult of CNN and the cult of Fox and the cult of Bitcoin and the cult of Hex. And it's like, guys, just fucking wake up. Become the main character in your own movie. Write your own script. Become the director. And this will all become much clearer to you because you'll become self-reliant. And then you won't have to worry about this thing is a scam and that thing isn't nonsense. Because it's funny and it's really convenient that people are in love with something when it's working for them, but then they crucify it when it's not working for them. And that's what belief is. You love it when it's going well, but then you start to hate it when it's not. Gotta watch yourself when you're acting like that, guys. All I'm telling you is to reflect. It's to slow down and just reflect. But I wasn't trying to put this on Sam. Sam just made a statement, and that kind of like allowed me to access a stream of consciousness that I've been wanting to talk about. So thank you, Sam, for saying what you said, because it opened up that type of dialogue, and I think it's something that more people need to consider. And perhaps you have your own reasons for what you feel and have developed your own investment thesis off of how you have studied that particular project, and that is great. That is actually what I want. I think it's just the name calling, and the negativity around these fairy dust private key. Because think about what we're talking about here. When we're talking about crypto and investing our emotion and our feelings towards it, it's like you're thinking about fairy dust. This shit is all speculation. I don't care how much fucking fundamentals it has. It's all speculation. So it's like people just get way too emotionally invested in all of this, in both directions, whether it's the worship or it's the crucifixion. It's both sides. How we do. I appreciate your super chat. Sending you lots of love. You said, hey, Jordan, been a Patreon for a while and just want to say you're an amazing soul. Thank you for sharing your beautiful art to the world. Helped me a lot. That really means a lot to me. I appreciate you. And I'm sending you a lot of love, and I hope you're having a beautiful weekend. And I will have the new Red Pill podcast out tomorrow. So since you're on Patreon, you'll be able to check that out. And I appreciate you. Phoenix Transcendence says, thank you, Waters Above, for all you do. You have inspired me to break patterns and build my mansion. Much love and stay spicy, bro. It's all love. I appreciate you. People keep asking about my Instagram. It's this one. It's Waters Above without. It's Waters Above with a 0. That's the real one. Everything else is a scammer, and there's a lot. So yeah, if you wanted to follow that account, I'll be posting there, here and there. Violetta says 5 years ago, a friend who was a competitor bodybuilder, firefighter with an amazing looking body, who simply dropped dead from a heart attack at age 36. Yeah, Violetta, I wasn't even going to start going down that path with what I shared before, but I'm glad that you said it, because I have so many instances of stuff like that. Just body dysmorphia is a huge like addiction chase that many men have, and this could lead to mortality at a very, very young age. Like, I mean, I've heard of people in their late 20s die from overuse of things like Trenbolone, and you know where this goes. And guess what? They looked like Greek gods on their deathbed. Fucking shredded. Like, looked incredible. And people see them in the streets and like looked up to them. But clearly not healthy. Anyways. And Violetta, sending you love. I know that must have been a tough loss for you, having your friend pass on, but I appreciate you being candid and sharing that with us. Bird Dog, the Crypto Ronin, says, on the other side, I wouldn't want financial advice from someone who is broke or health advice from an unhealthy person. Well, who's there to determine what broke or rich is, and who's there to determine healthy or unhealthy? Right? So it just becomes like this gambit, and I think it would be more critical to just listen and resonate. And if you resonate with some of the things that you're hearing, try it for yourself, give it a shot, and if it works for you, then great. But it's not really that easy to determine what healthy is or to be able to determine what wealth is. I mean, I've met people who are professional traders who wear sweatpants and Crocs and don't even own a car, and like they're fucking loaded. So like, what are we using to determine their what? Also, there's people who are crypto rich and people who are fiat poor. There are people that are resource rich or precious metals rich, but they're fiat poor. Or there's people that are investment rich and cash flow poor. Now, if you were to ask me who I would rather be, I would rather be cash flow rich. So for me, where I'm at in my understanding of wealth, I see the person with a multi-million-dollar crypto portfolio, and then I see somebody who's able to make 10 grand, cash flow every single month. Bro, I'd rather be the 10K guy. I'm just saying. So I would look at the person who's a millionaire with crypto and be like, cool guy, like you're cool. The person with the 10K, they earn that shit. 10K monthly cash flow, I know they put in the work. I know they designed a system. I know that they earned it. And when they get that money coming in those checks, they're actually continuing to provide value. They're continuing to give a system to the world. They're doing something. I was actually talking about this on the Crypto Coffee interview about crypto rich people, like people that just got all this wealth from over the past bull run. And a lot of them are suicidal, or they feel a lack of purpose and they are struggling in life, even though they have multi-million-dollar crypto portfolios and have converted some of that into actual fiat or tangible assets such as a house. It actually made them more depressed. It made them more anxious. But the people that I meet that have cash flow systems in place, $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $15,000 a month, $20,000, it doesn't matter. Those people have so much more of a sense of purpose, and they have a way less depression and anxiety. And this is from me taking hundreds upon hundreds of calls with people. So when you provide real value to the world and a system to the world, you get that. And it's cyclical in a way where you could continue to make refinements and you could continue to feel like there's something present here. But if you're just banking on, your portfolio and waiting around all day, it's going to get boring as shit. And it doesn't really change how good you are at communicating with people. It doesn't make being able to get more friends easier. It doesn't make getting a girlfriend easier. It doesn't really make life better. So again, it all comes back to what are we calling rich and poor, and what are we calling health and being sickly? Because like I said earlier, I've met people that are in their late 20s that are on steroids that are making their relationships impossible to handle because they're fucking freaking out all the time. They're aggressive for no reason, but they look incredible. The same thing goes with people who are really good looking, really fit, and they have an addiction to alcohol, or they have an addiction to porn. Yeah, you look amazing, but you're addicted to porn, and your sex life is distraught, and it's impossible for you to hold relationships because your idea of, having sexual connections is just off the Richter scale. It has nothing to do with reality. Think about this. So yes, good looking body, good aesthetic, but damaged in one way. And that one way could be torturing this individual. And I'm not sharing judgment right now. I'm just exposing what I've received from individuals who've gone through that. Me being the listener, okay? So is that person healthy? Is that somebody we should be taking? What I say is what we need to do is don't take advice on relationships from this individual, but perhaps you could take weight training advice from this individual. The same thing that goes with the guy with the Bugatti and the guy with the 4 mansions and whatever. Like, he might not be the type of person that you actually want to be, but there's some critical questions that you could ask this individual to be able to extrapolate value from this individual. You will be able to take away some wisdom if you know how to ask the right questions. So we just have an issue in our world where we see the Bugatti and we go, that person's correct. That person has the truth. That person is somebody I should look up to. And it's like, no, that's the problem, actually. That's what we're talking about here. Because I've met homeless people, people with no tangible assets, people with really not too much value to provide. And again, I'm about to share something that I think is important. But me being able to communicate with them and just have a conversation and see where they're at consciously, it's unlocked an immense amount of gratitude that I have for not only my own life, but for me breaking through some of the feelings that I might have had where I was scared to walk up to one of those individuals and just communicate with them. And I'm not saying scared in the typical way. I mean, like, will this person want to have this conversation? Will this person want to integrate with me for this moment? And being from New York City, being from going to school in the Middle East side, you know, like, it's culturally chaos. Like, I've dealt with so much diversity. I've seen a lot, and I've traveled the most of, you know, well, I've traveled a lot. I'll just say that. I'm not here to like brag. I just want to share this critical component of communication with people, regardless of what material offers they have or what their bank account lies. Where their bank account is. So the basic point is that you as an individual, the self, is able to extract wisdom and meaning and purpose from every single moment. How are you influenced by the moment? How is this player character that you're stumbling upon inspiring you or allowing you to see deeper into a part of yourself that perhaps you're working on or you just want to be more aware of? All of that stuff. I think that is the way. But if you look at somebody and you're like, oh, they have a six-pack, they have the truth. It's like, that's what keeps fucking people up in this place. And that's why a lot of dudes with six-packs know they could use that to their advantage. They make the TikTok account and they're like, look at me, I put the whey protein in my oatmeal and then I do it's 2 pull-ups and now people buy a course from me. It's fucking insanity. And it works very well. Here's the thing. If you want to look better or feel better, like physically, get off your fucking couch and move your body. Like, I've seen bodybuilders, pictures of bodybuilders before steroids were even invented. Way more impressive physiques than what I see happening today. And these people had no modern equipment. They had no supplements, barely any supplements. They were only able to really eat whole foods. And a lot of the foods they ate were mostly plant-based because they were poor. So meat was a luxury. What we call protein today was like a luxury to them, and they had incredible physiques. So of course we can go through the whole conversation of the reasons why, but I'll tell you one of the number one reasons why. They weren't fucking distracted all day. They weren't scrolling all day looking at people working out on YouTube. They just moved their body. They used their body. Use it or lose it. And too many people spend most of their time analyzing and thinking and programming and planning, and they never even do. They never even take action. So who gets the six-pack? Who gets the best relationship? Who gets the best, outcomes in life? Who gets the most success and feels the most success? It's those that put in the work. It's those that aren't waiting around. It's those that aren't easily distracted. And geniuses have something that, I said this maybe one time. I don't remember if it was publicly or if it was in one of my group coaching calls, but geniuses actually are lacking something that you have. Okay. They don't have something you have, and that's the ability to get distracted. Like, seriously, people who are genius level, they just can't get distracted. They're hyper focused. They're so focused that it will destroy their relationships. It will start to destroy their communication with people. It actually makes their role in that regard supremely damaged. And they operate very well in that leadership position, or they operate very well in a task that requires only them, So for instance, like being a bodybuilder is a great example. Because when you're a bodybuilder, it's just you. It's just you. Okay, we're going to move on. I should probably wrap this up pretty soon, though. If I see any super chats or anything else, I will answer those before we move on. Ramaya, I see your message. First of all, I'm sending you lots of love. Ramaya Guardian, appreciate you being a YouTube member. You're asking about the tectonic plates, star forts, and the pole shift, which is set to occur on 4/20/23. I don't know about that. Where are you getting that from? But when you say 4/20/2023, you're talking about the next eclipse. So you're talking about this eclipse right here, this solar eclipse, which I think is a very important eclipse, by the way, but not nearly as much as the one that's going to be in 2024 for the Summer Olympics in Paris. But I don't know what you're getting to when you're talking about pole shift. I know enough about the pole shift, or what is called crust displacement theory. And it's super fascinating, and I do think there's a lot of validity to it. Okay, I do. I actually think it's one of those theories out there that's extremely fascinating. But your question is full of so many things and not really too much context, because you talk about star forts and then you bring up the pole shift. When you're talking about the tectonic plates, are you talking about like plasma discharges, some sort of earthquake? What's going on here, brother? I appreciate your question, and I really appreciate you being a YouTube member. It means the world to me to have your support. But the one thing that I can say about that 4/20 eclipse in 2023 is I think it's going to be incredible. It's going to be a really bullish time for crypto. I think it's going to be very bullish. Basically, the end of March into early April around Satoshi Nakamoto's fake birthday. And it's really funny that Satoshi because I'm pretty sure Satoshi Nakamoto is the 151, right? Oh, yes, the 181, yeah. I was about to say that would be the eclipse. I knew it was something 1-1. Anyways, important time. It's also funny how it's the 4/20 date. You know, Los Lopez will be enjoying that. I know, brother Wolf out there. I don't know if he's still listening in. A's Creation, I appreciate you. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Eddie Gebb says, Jordan, we need to make a deal. I'll cook good Ethiopian food for a week and you share some wisdom. Deal? You know, I love good Ethiopian food. Ethiopian food is the what do they say? Like a key to a man's heart. It's like the key to WatersAbove's heart. But yeah, I appreciate you. Space Cash. Do you need a kiss? You need a little smooch? The WatersAbove Wolf Pack is giving you a group hug right now. I want you to just close your eyes and feel the love. All right? I'm sending you some kisses. I know it hurts sometimes. Vibing with Vice, I appreciate you. Bella Love, I appreciate you. Yeah, this is funny. Why is this chat getting like this, bro? What happened? What happened? Blue tea, yes. Two things you could try: Shivambu and dry fasting. Frankly, my damn, I don't give a deer. I said something about hex, and it like for you, it felt like getting like if I spoke about Jesus. But here's the thing, Hex is just like any other project. It lost, what, 90% of its value from the top. So it's more alike than it is different regarding how people invest in it. It's speculation. Now, the future of it might be promising. That's debatable. But the charts aren't debatable. The bull run that it had was absolutely impressive when it was going on. But we could say that about so many other things. We could say that about T-Fuel. We could say that about fucking Digibyte. Right? Look at the all-time Digibyte chart, and you're going to see an insane run. So we could play that game of things did well when they were bullish, but we could also talk about how they all equally have 90 to 95% corrections, all of them. And that's really what's going on here. That's what people are playing. They're playing the gambling casino. If they really had conviction and they really loved this investment that they were in, that you wouldn't see these huge corrections because the retail would hold the line. But the retail doesn't hold the line because it's just a bunch of cult members who are happy when things are going well for them, and then they start to panic sell when things go against their plan. So, you either die with the cult or you let go and then start to develop a better investment thesis. All right, this chat kind of got off the rails. So I think maybe this is a good time to wrap it all up. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and see what's going on. LMS asks about Lola, I did not delete any of your messages. I'm not sure what you're talking about. We'll end it on this. Like here's the thing, guys. Hex or Bitcoin or XRP or even the players that are behind this, Chris Larson, Brad Garlinghouse, Richard Hart, CZ from Binance, Elon Musk, none of these people or these cryptocurrencies make you rich, okay? None of them make you rich. You deciding to take action on when you buy them and when you eventually sell them is the actions that were taken to facilitate the growth of either more wealth, more, allocation to building a larger portfolio in the future, more fiat, more stable coins, more time available for yourself. It is much deeper than just this idea that insert token makes you rich. Because it doesn't. Nobody's making you rich here. You making decisions how to use your money and how to make plays in the market is what makes you rich. You deciding how you want to utilize your thoughts and the time that you have available to you is what could potentially make you rich. Okay? The risks you take are the rewards that you reap. So when people make these statements like Hex will make you rich, that's fucking crazy. The coin doesn't make you rich. You deciding to buy it when it's oversold and then de-risking it when it obviously is overbought, that is a technique or a strategy that'll facilitate that. But it's not the coin is making you, because this will be like when you really learn about what investing is all about, it's actually, that's one of the number one fundamental things you have to break through. I promise you this. Like one of the number one things you could break through is this whole like Bitcoin will make me rich shit. That's in, like, you never hear me pushing that in my work because that's not how it works. When these markets get scary and bloody and boring, no one wants to take action. No one wants to fucking buy. So it's the people that buy right there. That's what opens them up to the opportunity to have the best position, the most likelihood for a positive ROI, for a positive return on investment, to actually make money. Their patience, their emotional stability, their time that they dedicate to developing their investment thesis, them designing a protocol for their exit strategy, and then acting on that exit strategy. That is what actually are the actions that make you rich. And you could do this with anything. You could do this with Hex. You could do this with Bitcoin. You could do this with XRP. You could do this with a shitcoin penny stock. You could do this with whatever. That's just the game. When you become a real investor, you're not joining the cult of the fucking company none of that matters. When you're in crypto land, you're in a gambling casino, okay? Just know when you're getting heavy hand syndrome. You guys know what that is? When you win a couple times and then you start making really risky bets and then you lose that one big one and it sets you back to zero. That's what a lot of people get caught up with. So it was like, oh, this thing was making me rich until I made a fuck up and now I got to blame. Or I was doing well and then Sam Bankman-Fried did some shit and then you just blame him. You're always playing the blame game. Everyone wants to play the fucking blame game. But there was a time a year and a half ago where FTX and Sam were quote unquote making all these people rich. You see the fucking problem here? So you need to break through that. Or else you're going to be stuck forever. Like Elon was making me rich with Shiba Inu or Dogecoin, and then both of those coins had 90+% corrections, and now they're allegedly not making you rich anymore, and you don't talk about and this is just it's a pattern of the sentiment cycle of retail. So I hope exposing that helps people become a little bit more sharpened in this game of investing. You got to move past that shit. None of these coins are making you rich. None of these people are making you rich. It's just all instruments and you taking action with those instruments and what's available to you at that time. Because the environment was different in 2015 than it was in 2018. But guess what? The percentage of dumb money was still equivocal. So just be smarter than them. Be more controlled in your emotions. Be a little bit, have some discernment. Be conservative when necessary. Prevent yourself from getting hot hand where you start winning a lot and then you just want to keep chasing that high. Even though this is a gambling casino, do your best to operate as if it is not, as if it's a serious, show, and what you do in it is the best of the best. Because that's kind of how you have to treat it. Because it is like clown world at the end of the day. And when I see people start talking about this coin making me rich, this, that, and the third, I mean, to me, it even further proves that it's clown world. Because we see it work in both directions. I'm just looking through some final questions before we move on. Robert Jones, I appreciate you. All right, my family. I think it's a good time to move on. It's been beautiful hanging out with all of you, and I appreciate every single one of you. I hope you all have an incredible rest of your night, and I will be coming out with the new Red Pill podcast tomorrow over on Patreon, patreon.com/WatersAbove, and I will keep in touch with the community when that is ready to be released. I'm looking forward to another exciting week in this matrix with everyone. Spread love and truth to everyone that crosses paths with you. All right, everyone. Have a beautiful rest of your day.